My name is Jack Hanney, and welcome to this week's edition of The Insider. Are retail investors and Americans ready for the next wave of inflation? See, inflation isn't like a tsunami that just comes a single time like it did in 2022. Back in the 70s, there were 3 waves of inflation. Now, I know there's a lot of talk about a soft landing, and the Fed is backed into a corner and cut rates at the September 18th Fed meeting by 0.5 basis point. But most need to be prepared for an additional 2 waves of inflation. The concern here is back in the 70s, our debt was 35% of our GDP. Our debt now is nearing 100% of our GDP. In fact, the IMF just warned this week that global debt could reach 115% of the GDP, and that the situation is far more dire and far worse than what was initially expected. Also, the Black Swan author Nassim Taleb, this week, he had penned an editorial about his concerns over the US dollar. What has happened is large corporations and the financial elite have been taking on excessive risks for years. And the more that we continue to print money and see this inflation continue and persist, the concerns over the US dollar globally, which really began with the sanctions that this administration imposed on Russia when it invaded Ukraine, seizing oligarchs' assets, football clubs, yachts, mansions, and kicking Russia out of the SWIFT banking system. So the BRICS countries are now moving into gold and away from dollar-denominated assets. All of this just 19 days ahead of the most contested presidential election in history. This is why we see gold hitting consecutive all-time highs, nearing $2,700 an ounce. Again, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, as well as Bloomberg forecast $3,000 an ounce gold in 2025. JP Morgan is standing by its forecast of silver at $36 an ounce, Q1 2025. Many are also anticipating a 1/4 basis point rate cut in November and a 0.5 basis point rate cut in December. Please visit us at www.patriotgoldgroup.com or call 1-888-301-7012. Again, that's www.patriotgoldgroup.com or call 1-888-301-7012.